Emmy gets up suddenly and leaves the table, leaving me and Miss Ibarazaki alone. I'm a little conflicted. Should I go after her, or should I stay here? It's obvious that Emmy's departure was not based on the call of nature. Something's bothering her, and I have to know what it is. How to go about it. There's an awkward silence at the table for a while after Emmy dashes off. I can't think of anything to say. Emmy's mother sighs, breaking the silence. Sorry about that, Hassao. I sometimes forget that Emmy's touchy about certain subjects. And I was talking about the wheelchair thing, too. Should I go after her, I ask. Heavens, no. She didn't leave the table to continue the conversation, you know. But if she's troubled, shouldn't someone help her? If it were anyone else, I say yes, but my daughter is stubborn as a mule, and if she wants to be alone, it's best to let her be alone. Otherwise, she'll probably say something she'd regret, which would cause you to say something you'd regret, and I'd prefer that dinner didn't end with one or the both of you storming out of the house. If that were to happen, I'd be a terrible hostess, wouldn't I? I've already acted as a fool once today. That's okay, I say. I shouldn't have brought up the wheelchair, apparently. Miss Ibarazaki frowns, clearly more bothered by Emmy's omission than she'd let on. I wish she wouldn't do that, she says. It just makes me worry more, you know? She does this often? What, running off to the bathroom? No, I can't say she does. Keep injuries from her mother, though? Well, that's a little more common. Every time I catch her lying like that, she assures me that the only reason she didn't tell me is because it wasn't a big deal. If it's any consolation, I say, I'm sure the only reason I knew about it at all was because I saw her every day. This elicits a dry chuckle from across the table. Miss Ibarazaki sighs a little sadly. Still hesitant about getting close to people, huh? I keep hoping she'll get over that. It's funny, really. She's bounced back so well from the accident in so many ways. I guess some things never really go away. From the looks of it, the whole thing still bothers her, too. She seems to be a little more willing to talk about the accident without Emmy around, though. Hey, I've got a question if it's all right, I say. Oh? What else did Emmy lose in that accident? The nurse said that she gets this way near the anniversary and she won't talk about it with me. So you thought I'd fill you in, yeah, hopefully, I say. Well, there's a problem with that request, you know. Let me guess, I say. You promised Emmy that you wouldn't tell anyone she didn't want to know, and you don't know if she wants me to know. Something like that, she says. I promised Emmy that she'd be the one to tell people the full story. But isn't that important, I say? I mean, it's clearly had a huge effect on her if she's still like this so long after the accident happened. Miss Ibarazaki says, That's true. It did have a long-lasting effect on her. There are a few things that she'll probably never really get over. For a moment, Miss Ibarazaki looks incredibly saddened, as if an old wound is bothering her. I suppose there are a few things I'll never really get over either. Another dry chuckle, and with a shake of her head, Emmy's mother banishes the memory. Look, there's something you must absolutely understand about the way Emmy thinks about the accident. What's that? It wasn't a big deal. Somehow I managed to keep my mouth from falling open in surprise, but it takes some effort. That has to be the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I beg your pardon, I say. Okay, maybe it's not that simple, but it's a pretty accurate summation, she says. Emmy believes that the accident did not define her and that everything she lost that day didn't define her either. She's not that girl who lost her legs. She's the fastest thing on no legs. Her optimism and energy came out of that wreck without a scratch, as far as she's concerned. I ask, yet it goes beyond that, doesn't it? I mean, last night she told me that she refused to rely on me because it would make losing me too painful. Her mother says, not really. You said she won't tell you about the accident, even though you've asked her about it before. The reason she won't talk about it when you ask is because to her it's not something you absolutely need to know. Even if she wasn't terrified of getting too close to anyone, she still wouldn't talk about it. She's afraid of being close to me, I ask. Oh, goodness me, yes, she says. For all that talk about being unscathed by the accident, she's gained the ugly knowledge of how quickly it can all be over. So she's not going to let people get especially close to her, and she certainly would resent any implication that she cannot work through this on her own. But I don't think she can, I say. Oh no, she says. Are you sure you've been dating my daughter and not somebody else? Trust me, Hisao, she could get through it on her own. But she has nightmares, I say, and she can't sleep well, and she does this every year. Tell me, if she wasn't able to get through it on her own, do you really think she'd still be alive? She would have killed herself or something equally melodramatic. I say, so what? I shouldn't try to help her? I didn't say that. I hate seeing my daughter like this, and knowing that she could rely on someone else would let me relax. You just need to understand that accepting help goes against everything Emmy thinks about herself and the way the world works. If you still want to offer her help, then I guess that's her call. Honestly, I'd like you to, but it'd be silly not to warn you that it's not going to be easy. You just need to be patient with her. She's already closer to you than anyone else she's ever met at Yamaku. Well, it certainly doesn't feel like we're very close, I say. Good, that makes this part easier, Emmy says. Emmy's voice nearly gives me a heart attack. Whoa, I didn't hear you come back, Emmy. How convenient, she says. Wait, were you eavesdropping? Nope, just happened to come back at the right moment, I guess. Emmy, Hisao was just, her mother starts. Emmy holds up a finger, cutting her mother off. On his way out of the house? Yeah, I know. Emmy's trembling with anger now, looking vaguely betrayed. Emmy, don't be ridiculous, her mother says. We were just... You promised, she said. The pain carried in that last word is almost too much for me to bear. The idea that I could hurt her that much is like being kicked in the gut. Emmy's mother looks similarly pained by the thought. And I kept that promise, she said. Just listen, there's no reason to go throwing people out of the house. Emmy's mother seems to be both angry at her daughter's outburst and embarrassed that I'm a witness to it. There's only one real solution to this problem, I think. It's okay, I say. I'll go. Now really, that seems a little unnecessary, her mother starts. Don't worry about it, I say. Thank you for dinner, Miss Ibarazaki, and for the advice. It was my pleasure, Hisao. I'm sorry we didn't get to the dessert. That's okay. I have to watch what I eat anyway, I say. Good evening, Emmy, Miss Ibarazaki. The formality of our conversation, coupled with the fact that I'm getting ready to leave, seems to snap Emmy out of her anger. "No, wait," she says. "I'm sorry. I've been so... And after last night, I just thought, you don't have to go. I take it back. It's okay." I can't help but smile slightly. She can barely articulate her apology, and I really would like to stay. But I don't think I can right now. I need to think about what her mother said and about what I'm going to do about us. I don't want to risk accidentally getting Emmy angry again in her current state either. So I tell her, "No, I think I'd better leave. You seem pretty shook up, and, well, I'd only wind up trying to help you again. I know you'd prefer I didn't, so I'm going to leave instead." Emmy says, "But, hey, it's not a problem," I say. "You don't want a night on a white Charger, right? Just promise me one thing, okay?" "What?" she says. "Don't be angry at your mom, okay? She was just giving me some advice, that's all." Emmy nods hesitantly, like this simple idea is all she can grab onto at this point. She's so terribly off balance, but I can't do anything about that right now. "Okay," Emmy says. "See you tomorrow, okay? Running in the morning, don't forget," I tell her. I can see that I've hurt Emmy by deciding to leave, but there's nothing I can do for her as things stand, and I know that she's too stubborn to admit that she wants me to stick around. I watch various emotions cross Emmy's face as she tries to process everything that's just happened. Shortly comes that calm look again, like last night, and that voice that tries so hard to sound careless. "Sure, Hasao. See you around." Both of us are unwilling to concede emotion at this point, and I'm having a hard time keeping up my facade, so I turn on my heel and walk out the door. I shut it behind me slowly, pausing for a moment as the latch catches, my hand on the doorknob. Did I make the right decision just now? Should I have stayed and tried to work things out? No, I decide. Not in front of her mother like that. In spite of everything, I'd rather keep Emmy's mother insulated from the sort of anger that surfaced last night. Even though she's probably used to it, some protective instinct wants me to keep Emmy's image as a cheerful girl intact. With a start, I realize my hand is still resting on the knob. I take my hand away, put it in my pocket, and head down the slowly darkening street. I let out a long breath. The wait until tomorrow morning comes isn't going to be easy. In any case, I have to think on what to say to Emmy. I must apologize, and I must get through to her somehow. On that account, something's been on my mind for most of the way back to my room. The letter of apology from Iwanoko. I was so concerned about my new life when I received it that I didn't even bother to really read it. Now that I find myself in a similar position, my curiosity got rekindled. What did she want me to let me know so badly? If nothing else, reading her thoughts might help me frame mine. I remember tossing it away. Damn, where did I throw that thing? I check under my desk. That turns up nothing, so I look for harder to reach, more unlikely locations. Well, now I know where that lost sock went, at least. Still no letter, though. It's when I try sweeping my arm under my nightstand that I feel something crinkly jammed between it and the wall. Grunting with a little with the effort, I reach for my prize and soon manage to bring it into the light. Bingo! I sit at my desk and spread the crumpled paper open. A flick turns on the table light. Skipping past the empty pleasantries, I look for the point where I stopped reading. Ah, here it is. There are other things I want to say. I'm writing to you because I felt that there are things I should have said after the incident back in winter. I really regret that I wasn't able to say them in person, and I have no excuse for it. The truth is, the times when I visited you at the hospital made me worried about you. I'm not talking about your health. You seem to become more distant and disheartened. It was natural after something like that happened, I'm sure, but somehow I got the feeling that you had given up on something back then. Happiness, maybe? Giving up on happiness. This sounds unpleasantly familiar. I wanted to somehow express my feelings, but the right words didn't come to me. I couldn't say anything to comfort you. I'm really sorry for not being able to support you when it mattered the most, even though I like you so much. At least now, finally, I can be more honest. If I could go back to those quiet days in February and March, I'd tell you not to give up on yourself. That's what I would say. Maybe you wouldn't have drifted so far away if I just said something. I hope you've managed to get back on your feet on your own. Now that the distance between us is also physical, it also feels more final somehow. I wonder if we will meet again. Perhaps it's for the best if we don't. Still, if you would like to correspond with me, by all means write me back. I'd very much like to hear about your new school and how you're doing. I wish you all the best. Sincerely, Iwanaka. After finishing the leather, I smoothed it out carefully and set it aside on my desk. Thank you, Iwanaka. I wanted to answer yes to your question on that snowy winter day, but I never got to. By the time we met again, it was too late. Or so I thought. What would have happened if I behaved differently back in that dismally sterile hospital room? I'm sorry. There's no point in wondering now, but there's no point in trying to forget either. I am who I am because of all that happened to me and all I look forward to experience, present, future, and past. And the past may have just taught me an important lesson now. All right, and here we have Path B at the dinner at the parents'. It's not as emotional and as distraught as the other path is, where we go chasing after her and say some really stupid things. This one, she just overhears our conversation and takes it the wrong way, but is sorry about it almost immediately afterwards when she realizes her mistake. Just like in the other path, how we said some really dumb things and then we were sorry almost immediately afterwards when we realized it. But either way, both of them will lead to the same act here. As you see, Act 4. This particular path does not lead to the bad ending. So we can actually, if you choose to sit and talk to the mom, you don't have any danger of getting the bad ending path. As I said, I'm probably not going to put the bad ending on here. I'd like to get around to all the good endings first. Excuse me. And that's what we will do next as we continue on past this into Act 4. And we will see you in the next episode.